President Trump says the head of the EPA is prepared to make deep staffing and spending cuts. During his cabinet meeting yesterday, the president said about 65% of the staff would be affected. Employees and environmental groups are concerned about the impact these reductions could have. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Weijia, good morning to you. I think the White House tried to clear up some of that confusion by saying the president meant to say 65% cuts in spending, but help us understand what he said and what he really means.
Yeah, so this was the president misspeaking. In that cabinet meeting, he said that he was basically supporting the secretary of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, who was going to slash 65% of the workforce. And that's very different from 65% of the budget. But later, a White House official clarified in a statement saying that, the president meant to refer to the EPA's budget and not the workforce, saying that the EPA has found $20 billion worth of fraudulent transactions. And so that is why they are going to focus on slashing their arrow, not 65% of the workforce. However, it should be noted that every agency is making big cuts when it comes to those federal employees.
Yeah, still quite significant either way. I also want to ask you about what happened on Capitol Hill. House Republicans making a big step this week in advancing the president's agenda. But there are concerns over the potential cuts included in that budget framework, especially as it relates to entitlements. Let's quickly play a clip of what House Speaker Mike Johnson told CNN about that last night.
The White House has made a commitment. The president said over and over and over, we're not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. We've made the same commitment. Now, that said, what we are going to do is go into those programs and carve out the fraud, waste, and abuse and find efficiencies.
What should we make of that, Weijia, as far as what the president says as well?
Well, Errol, we should, conclude that they are on the exact same page, because President Trump was asked about this during his cabinet meeting, and he almost seemed annoyed. He said, I've answered this so many times, and I've already said there will not be cuts to entitlements. He went on to say what Speaker Johnson just said there, which was that they will continue to look for fraud. Now, remember, he and Elon Musk continue to claim that many people continue to claim checks, for example, Social Security checks, even if they are 150 or yesterday Trump said 200 years old, and that there's a lot of fraud going on, although they have not been able to provide exact evidence or any names of who is collecting this alleged fraud.
Important fact check there. We know that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is slated to visit the White House tomorrow. Help us understand what will come from that meeting as we all look toward a potential peace agreement in Ukraine between the U.S., Russia, Ukraine, and European counterparts.
Well, President Trump has been touting this deal that the U.S. and the Ukraine have agreed to, at least the framework, which would allow the U.S. to access some of Ukraine's valuable rare earth minerals, as well as oil and gas. So they'll definitely be talking about that. But they'll also, as you mentioned, Errol, talk about, potential ways to end the war. Now, remember, Trump has been having discussions, or the U.S. has been having talks with Russia without Ukraine, and Zelensky, who has made very clear he is not going to agree to anything in which his country is not involved in the direct negotiations. What's interesting, Errol, is that yesterday Trump said that Vladimir Putin would have to make some concessions, and we don't know what he's talking about, but that is a first, because he wasn't so explicit before, saying that Russia would also have to give something up. And so we'll see what they come up with. But I think, if you're going to be realistic, Errol, it's still going to be quite a bit of time before there is an end to that conflict.
Yeah, very true. All right, Weijia Jiang, great to see you. Thanks for that update from the White House.